Hi, my name's Melissa Cole, and I'm married to my husband Bob, and we have 3 children. Our oldest son, Presley, is 11, our daughter Bella is 8, and our youngest son, Cross, is 5 years old, and this is my story. On August 6th in 2012, our oldest son, Presley, was 9 years old at the time, and he was diagnosed with Aspergers Syndrome, which is on the autism spectrum disorder. When we received the diagnosis, it was just my husband and I. So Bob and I were in the psychologist's office, and she was going through the paperwork, and when we got to the spot where it gave the diagnosis and said Asperger's Syndrome, from then on it was everything was just kind of a blur for me. I didn't really hear what else she said, and I didn't want to look at Bob because I was worried that he and I might start crying, or I just didn't really make eye contact with him. And I started praying, and I felt God tell me that he had handpicked myself and Bob to be Presley's parents. And the momentum shift there was from guilt and sadness to I felt special. I felt that God trusted us with Presley, and he knew that Bob and I were the perfect parents for him, and that he just wouldn't have given him to anybody. I've had the opportunity to speak to a coworker of Bob's, who their son was doing some different things that she thought were kind of different, and she called me, and I talked to her, and a lot of it did sound similar to things that Presley went to when he was that age, and it turns out that her son also has Asperger's. And she was very, very, very upset with the diagnosis. Her husband too, almost kind of in denial, like they didn't believe it, and started to question the truthfulness of it even. And I spent about an hour and a half on the phone with her, and in the end convinced her. I was like, I promise, I know this is hard right now, but you will end up seeing that God is going to use this for your family in a good way. My daughter, Bella, who is 8, is extremely sensitive to special needs kids, and that's what she wants to do with her life when she grows up. She's already determined that she wants to be a special needs teacher. So God has softened her heart and made her have a longing to be with those kids. And she even said that she hopes that God gives her a child with special needs, that she hopes that she has one herself. And she's very defensive of Presley and of all kids with special needs. She just is drawn to them, and I feel like already in our family that is one huge thing that God has done. He's just taken our hearts and kind of turned them toward not just special needs kids, but just the underdog. It makes you really root for those people and really want to get behind them and encourage them and make them understand that they are perfect and that God thinks they're perfect, even if they're different than people around them. And I think that in today's world, that's a message that so many people want to hear, even if they don't have special needs, that you're perfect and that God made you to be this way, and you don't have to be like everybody else, but that you are loved and that you were made in His image too. How we get by with this is obviously by faith and laying all of it at God's feet and laying Presley on the altar, kind of like Abraham did with Isaac. I've given him and my family and my marriage to God, because I know that even though I'm type A and think I can control everything, I can't. And if I do try to control it, I do end up feeling like I'm drowning and like I can't keep my head above the water. But if I give it all to God and try to step out of the circumstance and see my whole life and try to look different. I told Bob this, I want us to look different. I want our family to look different, and I want people to ask us why we're different and why do we have joy in these circumstances. Because I know, I mean, in the Bible, there's no guarantee that when you're a Christian, in fact, it says when you have troubles, there's going to be troubles. There's going to be death. We live in a broken world. And in this broken world, I want my life and my family to be light in the broken world. And so this little thing, I mean, there are things that people go through that are so much worse than Asperger's. There's death, there's cancer. I mean, there's just horrible things that people face every day. But in the midst of that, if you can come up to breathe and just wrap your arms around God, let Him envelop you and realize that He loves you and that He cares and that He's upset with you, but that in the end, He wants what's best for you and He wants what's best for my family. And I want us to look different in these circumstances. I don't want us to look like the world in this. And I want people to ask us, and then I want to be able to say that Christ is my Savior and that He loves me, He made me, and one day He'll come to rescue me. I'm Melissa Cole, and this is my story.